Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're enjoying what you're reading. And yeah, remember, if you don't like what you're reading, put it down and put it away. And pick something else that may intrigue you. Anyways, today's book is called The Christmas Stranger by Richard Paul Evans. You might know him as an author who does a lot of these little Christmas vignette stories, standalone stories. And he does them quite regularly. I don't think he did one last year, but I may be wrong on that. I'm pretty sure he did. And I just didn't read it last Christmas. I read it in the new year. It's actually my first book of the year for 2025. It was a Richard Paul Evans book. So this is The Christmas Stranger, and I'll give you a read from the blurb and then give you my rating and thoughts. Sometimes the universe sends us exactly who we need. 3 years after losing his family in a Christmas Eve accident, grieving Paul Wanless hasn't just given up on Christmas, he's given up on life. He can't imagine anything to keep him here, not his work as a computer repairman, nor the residents in his Salt Lake City neighborhood. And that's another thing, he always places it in Salt Lake City and the surrounding area. And certainly not the idea of connecting with someone new. When a stranger knocks on his door claiming to be picking up a laptop, Paul allows him in, but discovers the man to be has a very different mission in mind. The mysterious stranger's name is Gabriel, and when Paul finds himself opening up to his visitor, Gabriel tells him, "I wouldn't do it if I were you. It's not what you think." He then departs without another word. Paul brushes the experience aside as some trick of the imagination until he crosses paths with a young widow and her bullied son, who also received a visit from Gabriel. Before he knows it, his life is filled with chaos, commotion, and excitement he hasn't felt in years. Has Gabriel brought new people into his life for a reason, but why? And who or what really is this Christmas stranger? I gave this book, I can't remember, so I'm going to check. I hate doing this. I really do. Normally I remember, but I didn't today. I'm sorry. I gave this book a 4. Very solid story. Yes, it's another little Christmas romance story from him, as there usually are. But yeah, it was a fairly light read, fairly easy read, and if you're looking for something easy and light and not too complicated to read, and maybe give you some truths along the way, this would be a really good read. The silver bell that is on the cover does play a part, as usually it does with his stories. Yeah, it was a nice, enjoyable read. It wasn't anything too earth-shattering. Something you can read in a day or two. And that was the Christmas. I think what I liked about it was that there were some things in there. There was one quote in particular that really struck me, and I put it as as a highlight. It's on page 64, and Paul and Gabriel are having a conversation, and Paul asks when life ends prematurely. "You're not listening, Paul. There is no prematurely. There is no early. You're early. You're basing a lifespan on human assumption and expectations, which in the overall scheme of things means nothing. You think someone should live a prescribed number of years because you read a life expectancy statistic somewhere, and you feel cheated when they don't. In pre-industrial societies, the average lifespan was 24 years. Based on that, you're already a very old man. He shrugged. It could be worse. The adult mayfly's lifespan is 1 to 2 days. Paul is in his, say, mid-30s. Somewhere in his 30s, I think. I'm not sure exactly, but it's been a few years. And I think, yeah, it is a good story. It really is. And he is in a bistro having lunch, and they're having a conversation, and he's talking about and Gabriel is talking about how life is like a tiny every day is like a thread in a tiny tiny thread in a tapestry. But when it's interesting, Gabriel talks about how a single thread is fragile, and that's what life hangs on. And then they go into that, and go into a discussion about, life, and then Paul asks, well, why am I still here? And, well, you're not ready to go. Well, the reason he's talking 3 years is that his wife and son were killed in a car accident on Christmas Eve after a concert. And they had taken separate vehicles, and Paul feels very guilty about that. Yeah. So that's what that is all about. And I felt that was a very important quote. So that was Christmas Stranger by Richard Paul Evans. If you're looking for a late Christmas read, any time of the year, or something that will be uplifting, I highly recommend this book. But I still give it 4. Usually I've given these more. I think, sometimes it does feel a little bit formulaic, but it did. Anyways, there are several other storylines in that. There's one other storyline that's important to the story, that fleshes itself out in the end. I won't say how or whom it involves. So you have to read it for yourself if you want to find out. That was The Christmas Stranger by Richard Paul Evans, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye for now.